For some reason, I must be having a weird connection this morning. Um, I'm starting a little earlier in the morning because I have some errands I have to do later today. So I'm trying to time everything out so I don't miss something. So I had a couple of different topics in mind this morning, and one more came to light because of a delivery I had yesterday. So if you have done any sort of gig economy delivery, you are basically dependent on, especially if you're new. If you're a newer driver, you are especially more dependent on algorithms to kind of show you the route, tell you how many miles it is, give you all the information, and then you can make your offer. The problem is the algorithm isn't always right. And I find this happens about 7 or 8 deliveries out of the week. Now, I normally do somewhere around 125 deliveries a week. So I'll get the offer, it'll give me the route, and I'll just sit there, like one of those dogs who doesn't quite understand what you're doing, where they tilt their head and they're going, okay, this doesn't make any sense. Why did you give this to me like this? And then I have to think about it. And then what ends up happening is that I end up having to make adjustments to the route based on different factors. Now, this happens way more on shopping orders than anything else. So I'm going to use my last delivery of the day yesterday as a perfect example of maybe not always trusting what the algorithm says. Now, if you're an experienced driver, it makes a whole lot of difference. If you are a new driver, I get it. If you're dependent on using the GPS and you're dependent on those other factors to get you where you're going, I get it. If you're not great with directions, I get it. Algorithm has to work for you or you're screwed. So the last delivery of the day yesterday was a 3-stop order. It was a 25-mile, $37 order. Now, that's a lot of miles for one of these gig economy delivery orders. You don't normally get 25-mile orders. So this was, it was a Petco pickup, and it was 2 grocery store pickups. And it was all over the place. The route took you everywhere. So it was 2 grocery store stops at Safeway. It was one retail pickup at Petco, which means that if it's a retail pickup, it's ready to go. I don't have to shop for it, so it's ready to go. But the route was very strange because the grocery stores ended up being out of zone. So depending on which company you're working for, you might have a zone or you might have a floating zone that kind of, the zone is where you're at. But the one that I work with right now, I have a specific zone. It's basically where I go to get the majority of my orders. If I go out of zone, then I have to worry about not getting orders until I get back into zone. So the 3 stops were the Petco pickup and 2 Safeway pickups. The Safeway was out of zone. So what it was trying to tell me to do, this is the algorithm was trying to tell me to do. It was trying to tell me to go out of zone to pick up the 2 grocery orders first, and then come back into zone to drop them off, and then pick up the Petco order that was already in zone and take it to the 3rd stop, which was out of zone, in the same zone, that the grocery store stops were. So what does that mean? That means they were trying to tell me to zigzag. So basically, go out there, come back, and then go back out there, and then go to your stop that is also out of zone. So what does that mean? That means that at the end of your route, you would have been 8 miles outside the zone, or in this case, it would have been 20 minutes outside of the zone, which means you're not getting orders for 20 minutes, which means you're not making any money. So I called an audible. Since it's Sunday, we're going to use a football term. So what I did is the Petco was right on the way to the grocery stores I had to go to. So I picked up the Petco order. I go out to the grocery stores that were out of zone. I do the grocery orders. And then I drop off the Petco order because the Petco order was in the same zone as the grocery store stops. So I drop off the Petco order and then come back into the zone to drop off the 2 grocery store orders. So what does that mean for me? That at the end of the route, I would have followed the algorithm, I would have had to wait 20 minutes to get an order. Now, doing it my way, I took care of the things that were out of zone first and took care of the in zone things last. So what did I got rewarded by doing it my way. I finish all the stuff up. I do my grocery store stops, finish it up, and then I get rewarded with a 5-mile, $37 order from Ulta Beauty. Although I must say that going to Ulta Beauty isn't necessarily a reward because it was a large order. You never see a 22-item order for a beauty supply place. But it's a $7 per mile order. So I got rewarded because I did it my way. And I was in zone just at the right time to get that nice big fat order that was the last order of the day before I quit. So instead of making $185 for 9 hours, I made $222 for those 9 hours. So essentially, I made $4 more an hour because my experience told me that I needed to go take care of the out of zone stuff that I'm not going to get any orders from while I'm out of zone, and then do the stuff that'll take me back into the zone where I'm more likely to get an order. And this happens a little bit with smaller orders, like, $5 coffee orders or $7 bakery order. These kind of things happen all the time where, the route is set up in such a way that it wants you to go, somehow it wants you to end up out of the zone. And I don't know why, because if you're a driver, you know this, out of zone orders suck because you're not getting any offers. You're not getting dinged. You're away from where the orders actually are. So when you look at these, it's so important that when you get the offer, that you look at where you're delivering to and make it make sense for you. I mean, you're an independent contractor. You don't have to do the route the way they say you're going to do it. So the best thing to do is to look at the manifest, of where you have to go. Let's say you have 2 stops. Let's say you have a bakery pickup, and let's say you have something fast food. And then you look at where you have to go. Look at the addresses. If you know the addresses, it's even better. Because then you can go, okay, this one's close by. This one's going to take me 2 miles outside the zone. So why would I why wouldn't I take the stuff outside the zone first and then drop off the stuff inside the zone last? Because when you end your particular offer, you want to be in a position where you're getting another offer right away. You don't want to be 2 or 3 miles away or 6 or 7 minutes away having to wait for offers. You want to end up in a position where you're always having offers right away. So it's also why I talk about, you don't want to be, if you're working for one of the places that has a zone that you're working in, you don't want to be at the north end of a zone or the south end of a zone or the east part of the zone or the west part of the zone. You want to be somewhere in the center of the zone, because otherwise you're going to get offers. If you're at the edge of any of these zones, you're either going to go, your offers are going to go way north out of the zone, you're going to go way east out of the zone, you're going to go way west out of the zone, or you're going to go way south out of the zone. Edge of the zone deliveries don't work. So if your hotspots are in the middle of the zone or closer to the middle of the zone, then you're going to get more offers just by not being out of zone. So, I don't know if that was useful at all. Just figured I'd throw it out there. The algorithm isn't always right. Okay. So this is where experience helps. The more you do these things, you find out that you can save 2 minutes here or 3 minutes there, or be in a better place so that you can get more offers so you can make more money. I mean, that's the whole key, is that you want to make more money at the end of this. I mean, why do you get into side hustles? Because you're trying to make more money. So any way you can do that. But that's it. I think I've talked myself out. So have a good Sunday. If you watch football and you don't happen to have to work today, great. You can stay home and enjoy football. I'll be working 9 hours today. So have a good day, everybody.